This is the Rich Report, bringing you the richest content across entertainment. My name is Cameron Richardson. Welcome back to the channel. Joining me to discuss UFC 250 is David Church. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, but I have a request. Can you refer to me, please, as a follower of the Sugar Show, a avid viewer of the Sugar Show after this last UFC event? Because the hype is real. Hype is real, my friend. Y'all have been talking crap, saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Sean O'Malley.
Who's told you this?
Everybody.
I like Sean O'Malley.
Everybody didn't believe me, but what did I say? Sugar and I are best friends. We go and spar all the time. Like, we're just boys now. He's my boy.
Yeah, what gym? What gym is this?
It's the MMA lab in Phoenix. He's a Phoenix boy by way of Montana.
Well, since we're talking about Sean O'Malley, might as well talk about his fight first against Eddie Weiland. Wasn't much of a fight at all. It's kind of just another showcase for Sean O'Malley's talents. David, I mean, the floor is yours with this. You're the O'Malley guy, so what were your thoughts on his performance compared to others he's had?
I mean, I'll keep my personal biases aside, but like it was a perfect combination. You can see exactly what he was trying to do. He was feinting with the uppercut, looking like he was going after it, and Eddie Weiland just puts his hand down, not ready for the straight right, coming at him, drops him easily. And it's just a showing of how much better he's getting. He took that, he had that 2 years off because USADA came down on him, and they even said that there was no evidence that he took it. He took it willingly, that they were found a steroid in him or something, but he used that 2 years to his advantage to just keep getting better. And he's always saying how good he is on the ground and how good he is when he actually gets taken down and has a great ground game now. But we don't need to see it because he just has that knockout power and that ability to just end fights whenever he wants to. He should definitely have a number next to his name after this fight and continuing to just climb up the bantamweight ranks, which is already a stacked division. This last event was literally a showcase of the bantamweights. So it was an amazing performance. Would have won knockout of the night before we got to the co-main, which we'll get to, but it was just a great fight.
Yeah, it was. And that fight was definitely comparable to his lone fight on Tuesday on Dana White's Contender Series. It was the knockouts were fairly similar and just keep showing the stardom that O'Malley already has in the UFC, and he should be getting a contender fight next. And the guy that I want him to fight next, Cody Garbrandt, might have just found the formula he needs to get back at it. Patient Cody Garbrandt, incredible. That was not what we saw in his last three fights where he got knocked out in all three of them.
Yep.
Both the two fights against Dillashaw and Pedro Munoz, whenever he connected, he just decided to throw down and thought he could score the knockout. He thinks getting in firefights is his forte, but no, when you go back and watch his Dominick Cruz fight, it wasn't as if he was landing punches that were going to knock out Dominick Cruz. They were perfectly timed. He waited for the right moment, and he dropped Dominick Cruz on multiple occasions, but there weren't going to be punches that put him to sleep. He just hit his shots at the right moment, and that's what he did in this fight. And man, oh man, that buzzer beater knockout was just a thing of beauty. One of the best I've seen in a while. But David, is Cody Garbrandt back? Can he make a second run at the bantamweight title?
You can definitely say he's back after that performance. It was, the fight with Dominick Cruz and the fight with TJ Dillashaw, he was going off a lot of emotion. There was a lot of anger and just built up emotion and serious grudges between those two guys when he fought them both, and it cost him. It cost him in both of those fights. He would just swing for the fences looking for anything to connect. He didn't do that this time. He stayed patient. He stayed back. And even when he was staying patient, he's still so fast. You could see it in his movements, his feints, his ducks. Everything that he did was completely calculated and absolutely stunning. It was perfect. And you literally could not have asked for a better performance coming off of 3 consecutive losses that were his first losses in his professional career. To have a performance and come back like that is a strong showing of what he can do, and even gives him that shot to become a potential bantamweight candidate again. his first reign wasn't as, big as people expected it to be, but now he definitely has that showing where he can still be a top of the division. Perfect knockout, perfect fight for him. He's definitely back, 100%.
Yeah, and him versus OMalley is a match made in heaven. That's one of my fights that's got to be made after this event. Two very cocky but highly talented strikers who are going to throw down, and the pre-hype to it is going to be great. It's a great fight you could have as a main event to a fight night card, or it'll be a great co-headliner to any pay-per-view that you could make. So it's really the fight to make. It's the hottest fight you can make right now because the high-profile guys are pretty upset with the UFC, and I don't think they're going to be fighting anytime soon.
Yeah. I'm pushing back a little bit on the idea of Garbrandt fighting OMalley just yet. Because in my opinion, Garbrandt should be at least top 5 after that performance. He was ranked 9 coming into it and should definitely be in a top 5. We don't know where OMalley's going to be yet ranked. I think he still needs to fight. He's going to be, 6 to 15 somewhere, probably like 10 to 15 range after that. So he should fight someone between the 6 to 10 rankings, main event a fight night card, and then if he wins that one, eventually go up to a co-main, and if he wins that one, you should have a tough time making a case on how he shouldn't have a chance to win the title. So I don't know where OMalley goes next. I think it should be someone in that 6 to 10 rankings to main event and probably a fight night card. But other than that, Cody Garbrandt just needs to keep fighting at least one more opponent that's in the top 5 to give him that chance. Because basically after we saw Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen, we know at least one guy who's going to be in that vacant bantamweight title fight. Because Aljamain Sterling, let's bring that up now. What a performance. Absolute incredible choke in the first round, got him down early. Sterling is an absolute ground game technician, multiple wrestling champion. It was an incredible performance for him, and the way he got that submission looked too easy. It looked incredibly easy. He's definitely a front runner to win the title, and I don't care if it's Peter Yan or Jose Aldo who's fighting him. I'm taking Aljamain Sterling in that fight 100%.
100%. I already said that he had earned the title shot regardless. He should be the guy, not Jose Aldo, who I think has lost 4 of his last 6, if I'm not mistaken, has lost 2 in a row, and somehow he gets thrown into a bantamweight title fight. I know. Jose Aldo is a legend. That cannot be taken away, regardless of his last couple of performances. You cannot take away what he's done and the impact he's had for the lighter weight classes in MMA. He's really one of the sole reasons why those are even popular in the first place. So you really can't take away his past, but at the same time, you don't earn title shots based off what you did 5-6 years ago. This is about the now, and the now is pure Yan and Aljamain Sterling. And hopefully Yan gets through all those so that's the fight we get later on in the year or in 2021.
Yeah. It's easy. It's cut and dry, basically. I mean, I don't care who Aljamain faces, either Yan or Aldo, but it's hard to bet against Aljamain Sterling after that first round, not knockout, first round, submission. It was a great performance for him, 100%.
And we have to talk about the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, once again retaining her UFC featherweight title in dominant fashion. First ever fighter to hold 2 titles and defend both of them simultaneously. This woman there's no one at her level. She doesn't have an equal unless it's Valentina, but Amanda's her best at featherweight. You're not going to see Valentina go up to 145 and take on Nunes when she's in her best shape. Nunes has to drop to 135 where she struggled, has gotten sick making that weight. It's just it's her best matchup, but at the same time, Nunes really has to sacrifice a lot to even make that fight possible with Valentina. So the only fight I see left for her is the third fight, just to sort of get rid of the bad taste that many people had after that rematch. But aside from that, there's really nothing else left. Now, we could always see Kat Zingano return, possibly win a couple fights at featherweight, and then get a title shot. That's really the last thing Nunes has on her resume. It's that one loss to Kat Zingano in 2014, I believe it was. That was her last loss. I mean, there's nothing else for her to prove. She's done it
There is,
all. She's won it all. Who's
yeah,
left?
literally, there's no one left. She ransacked the entire division, both featherweight and bantamweight. She literally, she is obviously the greatest women's fighter of all time, and you can even make the case that she's the best fighter regardless of gender. She is incredible. The complete domination that happened against Felicia Spencer, I thought that fight should have been stopped. They should have thrown in the white towel. Like it was that bad. Like she was destroying her. There was no chance Felicia Spencer was going to come back and win, because the way that Nunes fought, once she hits you a couple times, you get scared. You get absolutely scared, and that's what Spencer did. But a big thing we got to talk about is the toughness of Felicia Spencer. She held in there the entire time. She was not going to give up regardless. She always wanted to be in that fight no matter what. But at the same time, Amanda Nunes hit so hard that when she starts fainting, you have to you bite at it always. And then you're scared to punch her because you don't know what's going to happen next, because she's just so good at what she does. And the ground game that she showed was, we already knew she was a great striker, but the ground game just showed another facet of her, of how she is the greatest of all time. So there really is, I don't see anyone else going up. The only way she would probably go down would be if it's against Valentina and if it's for a big money fight. That's the only way. She doesn't want to make that weight cut unless she's getting paid for it the right way. So she's going to stay in featherweight for a bit and, kind of see who else is possibly left. But I don't see that many people that she really can, that have a chance of going up against her. She's just too dominant. She's the greatest of all time, plain and simple.
Absolutely. And we all thought her equal would have been Cyborg. We were all expecting a great fight. It was a great fight, but only lasted a minute. It was one of the wildest minutes in UFC history, but Amanda Nunes just rolled right through Cyborg.
Yeah.
And so really after that fight, there was nothing left for her to take.
Yeah, I also think it's fair to say that we should talk about Neil Magny's performance. That fight was great. I think that was definitely, of all the craziness that we saw that one night, that was probably going to be the one that gets kind of swept under the rug. But that was a great performance from Neil Magny. Anthony Rocco Martin is a great fighter. And those two, it was an even fight for me, both through the first and second round. But then when the third round came in, immediately Neil Magny just went on to the domination mode. He took that fight easily in the third round. And I think Neil Magny definitely could be someone to watch in the welterweight division, even though it's already supremely stacked. But he's making his way up there, and he's definitely someone to look out for.
Yeah, actually, in one of my fights to make in a column that I'll put in the link in the description, I had him taking on Vicente Luque coming up, because they're both fringe top 10 guys, and they're both on rolls right now. Magny winning 4 of 5, and Luque, I believe, winning like 8 of 9, 7 of 8, something crazy like that. I think that it would be a great fight for both men. Magny gets his cardio tested, while Luque gets a really well-rounded opponent, a guy that he needs a solid fight against to really get back into welterweight title, talks, to be involved in those. And I think another guy that we need to mention here too, how about Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, just rolling through Chase Hooper. As young as Chase Hooper is, and yes, that was a bad fight to throw him. And you can't throw a guy that young and say, hey, go fight this guy that has about 15, 20 fights in the UFC, and you might have a chance to beat him. No, he doesn't have a chance. The kid, he's still a kid going up against one of the most fun, versatile fighters in the lighter classes of the UFC. You can't do that to the kid.
He's younger than both of us. He's 20 years old. Like it's amazing that he's that young and is in the UFC. I go back and forth on the idea of putting him up against Caceres, but because Caceres has kind of been looked at as a stepping stone in the featherweight division and a guy you kind of beat to move yourself up. But he proved tonight he's done with that. He doesn't want to be considered that anymore. He pointed him out himself. He says he knows that he's been considered that in his career, and he's done with it. And he came out there that night to show that he had purpose. And it was the commentary was, Caceres used to be the Chase Hooper. He used to be the young guy who had a lot of flashy moves and a lot of, ability to, reach the top, and then never reached his potential. So is the question, does Chase Hooper become that? I don't think so, because I think Chase Hooper still is an incredible talent. He just needs to have more fights that are close to his level than going straight to a guy like Caceres, who is an experienced veteran fighter who knows how to strike people and knows how to get people down and win fights. He's won 16 professional fights in his career. He obviously knows how to win. So I think Chase Hooper just needs a little bit of time to, go back to the drawing board and figure out what they're going to do next to find the next opponent that's going to really help elevate him, and he'll be just fine.
Yes, and the final fight, the final performance I want to mention, Alex Perez, his leg TKO victory over one of the top flyweights in the last couple of years, Jussier Formiga. Big win for him and the second consecutive loss for Formiga. David, do you really see, when you look at the flyweights, is there a title fight that just jumps off the radar for you? Because I know we had the whole controversy with Benavidez and Devason Figueiredo. That was a total train wreck. Figueiredo knocked him out, but I think they're going to rematch again. They're going to have a rematch for the actual title vacated entirely. And hopefully Figueiredo is on weight so that there's nothing, say, hey, he can't win the title because he didn't make weight. But outside of that fight, is there really anything that interests you at flyweight?
At flyweight, no. It's a dead division. Like, it really is. There's no young stars that you can look at and say he's a prospect that I see in that division. I think the only way that a guy like Alex Perez can have some experience and some, fame in a way is to move up a division. Because, the last guy to really have that sort of skyrocket fame was Demetrius Johnson. And then Henry Cejudo comes in, and what does he do? He fights for a little bit in the flyweight, then goes up to bantamweight. It's like imagine a baseball team or a football team where your main goal, if you get traded there, is to immediately get out. That's what I feel like the flyweight division is for the UFC. Your goal is to make a name for yourself in the flyweight, and then bet on yourself and move up a division to make more money. The flyweight division is not a main eventing weight class. You shouldn't see a flyweight division fight main event, a pay-per-view, let alone even a fight card, to be honest. So I think Alex Perez is the best way to build off this win is to, keep finding good fights in the flyweight division, but when he knows the time is right to move up in a weight class to, really build his stardom.
Yeah, and it's a shame because the flyweight division used to be awesome. You had Mighty Mouse, an arguably greatest mixed martial artist ever. You had Kyoji Horiguchi, who gave – hold on.
If Demetrius Johnson never was in the UFC, there would be no flyweight division. Demetrius Johnson made that division. He put that division on the map. So Henry Cejudo's, kind of taking the mold after he left is great and all, but there wouldn't be a mold to hold up if Demetrius Johnson wasn't in that division. So with no Demetrius Johnson and now no Henry Cejudo because he's retiring and probably wouldn't go back to flyweight anyways, there's no point in keeping the division, in my opinion. Just tell the guys up, either move up a weight class or you got to go. It's that simple.
Yeah, and the division could have been great, especially right now. We had Dillashaw drop to the division. We still had Cejudo, but they let guys like Kyoji Horiguchi, who was really good and proved to be really good in other promotions. Had he stayed, he could have gotten better, gotten a rematch with Mighty Mouse, and it could have been phenomenal. And he gave Mighty Mouse fits in their fight back in 2015. So it's not like he could have gotten better and then the outcome still would have been the same. No, that could have been a really, really good fight. A loss, no Mighty Mouse, no Horiguchi, and you really have this division that you can't really build up because, one, your president doesn't really care for the division, and two, there's just not enough names going around that are going to want to fight at flyweight because then they could easily just move up to bantamweight or go and move up to featherweight where there are a lot bigger names.
Yeah, it's just it is sad to see like a lot of guys who could have that ability to be stars, but the flyweight division is the minor leagues, man. There's not a lot of substance there, which is unfortunate, but it's just how it is. Like if you're not a draw, Dana White can't really use you. The reasons guys like Conor McGregor and Israel Adesanya are stars is because they know how to market themselves, is they know how to be, a brand. They know how to put themselves out there. They know how to be draws. No one in the flyweight division is a draw right now.
Absolutely. Anything you want to add on before we close it out here?
Let's see. Amanda's the GOAT. Sugar Show was here to stay and will be here to stay forever. I'm buying a t-shirt. I'm going down to his gym just to say what's up. Sugar Sean, if you ever find this, hi, what's up? I'm a believer. I'm an avid viewer. Sugar Show's live in color. That's it.
I'll leave David's social medias in the description as well as his recap, and then my fights to make after. And we will see you in the next video. 251 is next month, but we don't have a headliner for that yet, so we'll see what happens. But we will be back soon. We'll be collabing for that video, and then we'll have an NXT TakeOver recap coming out tomorrow as well. So stay tuned for that. We will see you in the next video.